Oh my God, guys, I'm moving him around with the pad and right, first thing, the design of this thing is beautiful. Fingerprint scanner on the back to fire everything up. You've got a Huawei logo below the display. At the top, you've got that camera, front 8 megapixel camera. If I get the light shine just in the right place, you'll see there is a pre-fitted screen protector on here. 6 inches of OLED display. Really does make a really nice in-hand feel. Doesn't feel like a 6-inch screened device. Reason for that is the 18:9 aspect ratio, which is great. Around the back, you've got the camera and you've also got the glass back. Gorilla Glass with a fingerprint scanner in the center. It is curved at both axes, so what that translates to is a very comfortable ergonomic feel. A little bit slippery if your hands get wet along the side. It is definitely not the grippiest of phones, but there are a couple of ways you can get around that. First off, if you just hold the glass back, it's pretty grippy. It is the metal, which is very buffered around the sides that make it a little bit slippery, and it also comes with a case in the box, so you can just slot it into that and it will be protected from the front with that screen protector and the back with that case. A fingerprint scanner, very natural, comfortable position to find. Right, what else can I tell you about this thing? Down at the base, you've got that USB-C and loudspeaker. There's also a second loudspeaker where the in-call speaker is. Right hand side, you've got the buttons. These protrude nicely. You can navigate them without looking and they offer a good amount of click feedback. Fingerprint scanner around the back is very quick to fire up. As you saw, I just fired up the screen. Left hand side is where you've got the SIM card slot. No SD card slot on here. You can see there is a camera bump going on. It isn't completely flush with the back of the device, but what is nice is the fact that those camera elements, the f1.6 lenses, are separate pieces of glass. So if the back breaks, heaven forbid, the glass won't. Up the top, infrared blaster, so this thing doubles up as a TV remote control. Really is though all about that screen and design, and I am loving it so far. Even putting the case on, I don't feel like I'm compromising too much because I can still see what is going on underneath. Can't wait to get the Porsche design in for review, but so far this is definitely my favorite Huawei device to date when it comes to the look and feel. Right, what about that screen? This is an OLED display. It is 18:9 HDR, not 4K, in spite of that little logo in the top right hand corner. Can actually thwack it to 100% so you can see exactly what this means. In fact, it's a little bit too bright. It's throwing off the camera, and that's because this thing does indeed get very bright. Viewing angles are exceptional, really good, way better than the Pixel 2 and LG V30. This isn't made by LG, this isn't made by Samsung, it is another manufacturer, and they do a really great job. Side by side with Note 8, it isn't quite there, but it isn't too far off, especially when you're looking at the other OLED competition. So Huawei definitely made the right call. Am I bummed it isn't Quad HD? Honestly, I don't notice it day to day. I can jump out of this video for a second, jump in something. Let's drop the brightness a little bit as it is throwing off my camera. You can read the text on there. It all looks really nice. It's around 402 pixels per inch. So it's sharper than an iPhone 8 Plus, for example. OLED, sure, so it might not be quite as specifically sharp, but yeah, I'm not going to be complaining anytime soon, and I doubt you will be either. Inside that screen is Android 8 with Emotion UI 8. Emotion UI, Huawei's latest version of their operating system. User interface is really good right now, and the reason is it's stable and it works well. Now I say that, I know in my live review this thing crashed, but for me to be using any review device and only have one crash in around 2 weeks is not bad going, I assure you. And that even counts for iPhones, especially given the fact it was pre-release. I haven't had a single other crash since. And as a result, I'm just super impressed. Speed on this thing is a dream. It's a very customizable user interface. You can see I have an applications drawer activated now. Jump into the display settings and I can flip into the home screen style options, turn off my applications tray, and this is theming my whole user interface. It's a pretty intensive process, and you can see it's done it relatively quickly, which is nice. You can see you've got a whole load of access to folders, and what I love about Huawei's Emotion UI is you can shortcut processes. So I can just select all of these really nice and quickly. And I'm going to jump out there, throw all these applications into here. And actually, do you know what? I want to make a folder with my games in them. So I'm going to once again tab through all my game options, this time featuring Assassin's Creed, which wasn't in there, tap through on folder and write gaming. And if you really spend a little bit of time investing in Emotion UI and getting to grips with how you can make it work for you, you really can make it work for you. And I definitely rate it, despite the fact it does get a lot of hate for being so heavy. As a result, the Huawei Mate 10's UI is thumbs up stable. It is heavy though. You can do crazy stuff like theme transitions and have your knuckles do things like take screenshots and drag like halfway through to activate stuff, and all of the knuckle stuff for me personally is just too much. But you can switch it off, and that's also said for a lot of the pre-installed applications on here. You can call it bloatware by all means, but you can actually uninstall all the third-party stuff, which is sweet. And some of the third-party stuff is actually just really nice. For example, if I open Translator, I can this is a pre-installed Microsoft application, and Huawei says that it takes advantage. They worked really closely with Microsoft of the Kirin 970's artificial intelligence. So let's give this a go, and I will try doing some talking. ازيك يا أستاذ. ازيك يا أستاذ. وين المطعم? Another aspect of the user interface is a little bit hit and miss, just like with the translation feature, but just like with the translation feature has a lot of potential is EMUI Desktop. Taking advantage of the USB-C port at the bottom, you can just plug in a USB-C connector to HDMI out. We're very kindly provided with a bunch from Moshi, so thank you Moshi. You can check out their selection, link in the description below, and it just connects to a TV. So let's get to it. Right, so now we've got a Moshi dock connected to the TV, and connected to that is a USB dongle, and we've got a Bluetooth keyboard / trackpad combination. What's cool about this is that it does indeed support third-party applications. So I can, for example, tap through on a third-party app. I can open Amazon, for example, and it will pop up. And some applications like Amazon support desktop mode, which is great, and they are expandable and get nice and big, but a lot don't. So Adobe Premiere Clip, for example, it thinks it crashed. It didn't crash, don't send, but it is not resizable, so it is locked to that aspect ratio. This isn't a total deal breaker by any means, but you'll definitely want to be using applications that are supported for this. Okay, so one thing that you can do in EMUI Desktop with compatible games like Gary Mark of the Wolf is hook up a PS4 controller. So as you can see, smash him, yes! Right, so I've got the PS4 controller hooked up, and it is connected via USB to a Moshi dongle. So it is definitely worth your while getting a connector that has multiple USB ports, so you can hook up a mouse, hook up a Bluetooth keyboard and mouse to your device, or hook them all up via the dongle. Oh, do you know what I really want to try out? Assassin's Creed Identity. Oh, if this works well, that will be awesome. And you see, hopefully it won't stay that size for the whole thing. Fingers crossed, fingers crossed, fingers crossed. Oh, it's full screen. Bam. Right, let's get that PS4 controller back, and this will make my day. Oh my God, guys, I'm moving him around with the pad, and I can run and walk, and I can also control the other elements. And I would assume that that means I can also fight. Let's walk. Don't want to arouse too much suspicion. Screw it, I'm getting impatient. Right, how do I hurt this guy? Or do I even want to hurt this guy? I do. I want to start a fight so that I can attack him. Oh, and I just killed him. Sorry, God. So clearly, if you get all of the things working, and will this do it? How do what buttons do I press? Oh, there you go. X marks the spot. Smash, smash, smash. Okay, excellent. So what that shows is that Assassin's Creed and other games that work full screen. Admittedly, you have the bar at the bottom that you can't get rid of. Are really, really nice additions to making EMUI desktop such a fantastic experience. A game that is clearly optimized for touch works super, super well with a remote control. I think Huawei with the Mate 10 may have just invented the best gaming phone. I haven't tried this on the Note with DeX just yet. All right, I'm gonna go stop running around Italy and like murdering people, but let's, oh, and even the options start button works, so I can flip in and out of options, change audio settings, change gamepad controls. So props to Activision for supplying such comprehensive gamepad controls, and props to Huawei for making this whole experience just feel so freaking good. Right, let's get back to the review. This was one mega tangent. Right, so now we know that Emotion UI on the Huawei Mate 10 is pretty freaking banging. Not only is it very customizable, it's also able to run Assassin's Creed full screen with gamepad input. Provided you get the right kind of connector, you could have a lot of fun with this thing. And you don't need a proprietary dock to get it off the ground. You just need a USB to HDMI dongle, USB Type-C. But what about the camera? That dual camera set up around the back, f1.6 lens. You've also got a 12 megapixel RGB sensor and a 20 megapixel monochrome sensor, both f1.6 lenses across the pair of them. Can swipe in from the right hand side to activate manual controls, can swipe in from the left in order to bring up all of the shooting modes, and you can also expect a really, really decent zoom here as well. If I tap through on Spidey, thanks to, let me take a couple. Thanks to something called AI Zoom, it uses the information from the 20 megapixel camera to sharpen 12 megapixel zooms. So while you're not going to be able to make out pixels per se, it performs on par in certain lighting conditions with the iPhone and its optical zoom, which is a pretty sweet deal. Optical image stabilized primary camera. You've also got a bokeh mode and a beauty mode too. The bokeh mode widens the angle a little bit on the front camera, I think. But you can see as soon as I just take that picture, wide aperture mode enabled, I can tap through on my hand, blurry background, sharp foreground. I can also customize the whole look and feel of that quite heavily, blur the background more, blur the background less, and I can also apply a filter in order to make the background comic-y, make the background pencil-y, make the background monochrome, or make the background pop. So you've got a lot of versatility there. In plain automatic mode, it isn't the best camera on the scene, but it definitely does a very, very good job. If you're prepared to tinker, you can get some stuff that you'd normally expect to be limited to the world of DSLRs and semi kind of pro compact cameras. So I'm super impressed with the Huawei Mate 10 Pro, but that's hugely owing to the user interface. If you want a plain straight out point and shoot, it's still going to do a really good job, but it won't necessarily be the best round. For that, I'd probably opt for the Google Pixel 2. Still, me personally, as an amateur enthusiast who likes long shutter speeds, I would pick this one every single day. In addition, we've already taken a look at gaming. This thing benchmarks like a champion. Every game that I've played runs on it without a hitch. You can see I've got loads installed on here. I already showed you Assassin's Creed. Injustice 2 works really, really well from 2D right through to 3D stuff. And the fact you've got 128 gig of storage on here as standard means you will have plenty of room for your games. No micro SD card is a bit of a shame if you need one, but I personally find 128 gigs is more than enough for me. In addition to that, the 6 gig of RAM combines with everything to create perfect split screen multitasking. It was even able to picture in picture really, really nicely some 4K footage without slowing down. So the Huawei Mate 10 Pro, from a performance point of view, right through to a design point of view, to a gaming point of view, to a value adds point of view, undercutting the competition when it comes to price, is easily my favorite flagship out now. If you do factor price in, I'd probably still say that the Note 8 was a more impressive device thanks to its better screen, and I also love an S Pen, but it is a fair bit more expensive, over 100 odd pounds if you're here in the UK. 799 euros. Regional pricing will be region specific, so check with your local vendor, but if indeed this is priced well, I can wholeheartedly recommend it, not least of all because the battery on this lasts for ages. Like I said in my intro, earlier reports said that it didn't. Earlier reports were not taking into account the fact it wasn't running final software. One software update after that meant that this is a 2-day phone if you're a moderate to light user, and a 1.5-day phone if you're a heavy user like myself. So the Mate 10 Pro, for me personally, it gets a 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10, whatever you want to call it. It keeps delighting me, just like it did live on this when I was recording this video with the Assassin's Creed stuff, and I anticipate the delights will keep on coming. Let me know what you think and what you want me to test out in the next coming weeks with the Huawei Mate 10 Pro. We've got a lot of stuff coming in the next couple of weeks, so definitely stay tuned to the channel, ranging from the Mate 10 review, which will be up, Pixel 2 review, and there's a Razer event later this week. And in addition to that, we'll also be getting our hands on the BlackBerry Motion.